All right, for today's video review, we're going to be taking a look at Transformers Retro 40th Anniversary Soundwave, Laserbeak, and Ravage. Yeah, this is a reissue of the G1 Soundwave mold, and believe it or not, this is actually the first G1 Soundwave that I've actually owned. But continuing on with the theme of what they were kind of doing with some of the reissues last year, like Hound and Starscream and Hot Rod, and maybe one or two others, I can't totally remember. This is a reissue of the G1 mold, but using the G1 cartoon color scheme, which is definitely something that I think really works nicely. But yeah, no, it's great to finally own this mold, and I've always preferred, the cartoon colors with like the red eyes and the, more vibrant blue than the toy colors for Soundwave. So it's nice for this to be my, first version of getting this mold. But yeah, no, it's a really good mold actually. There's a reason why G1 Soundwave is so popular, and yeah, now I'm finally getting to experience it for myself. But yeah, it turns into a great cassette player mode here. It's a very solid box, like unlike some of the more recent Soundwaves that have done the cassette thing. It actually feels like it's a cassette player all the way around rather than just from the front with a bunch of like nonsense on the back. But yeah, no, it has some great features in this mode. Obviously, you can press the little button up here to open the tape door here, and you can take either Laserbeak or Ravage, and they can just insert into there like that. And then I find with Laserbeak that sometimes he can get a little bit stuck, but you can see it works sometimes. Like that time it worked okay. Oh, okay, see, now it was getting stuck, but now that I'm actually doing it on camera, whereas Ravage is a little bit thinner on top, so I haven't really found any issues with him. That works just fine. He's also got a little dial here on the side that doesn't do anything, but it does spin, which is kind of nice. And then likewise, a little switch on this side, which doesn't do anything on its own, but it's just nice for kind of like fidgeting around. These buttons don't press in. This is like one of the differences. Like, I mean, this is not a new change. They've made this change with the original Soundwave mold a while ago, but I think originally these were all like separate parts. And then, more recently, it's kind of just become one part, and then they paint the inner lining there. Just if you're looking for a difference from the very G1 Soundwave for the mold there. And then the other feature that he does have in this mode is he does have a removable battery cover. I believe, I don't know if he was one of the ones, like I know that G1 Blaster actually originally had like an actual battery feature from the toy from the micro change line that they took out for the Transformers line. I don't know if Soundwave, I don't think that it ever had an actual battery feature, because I don't really see where any of the stuff would have been stored for that. Like, I'm pretty sure it was always meant to kind of like work with the the battery guns and the cassette robots, but I'm not totally sure about that. But yeah, he's got a nice kind of belt clip here, so you can actually loop him onto your belt loop, which is kind of fun. And then if you take this section off, this is storage for the battery guns, which are just the typical Soundwave battery guns. We got the shoulder cannon one, and then the one that extends out to be his handgun. And you can put them in either way, so if you want to like role play it like you're actually like actual batteries would be, where they're they're not going the same direction, you can definitely do that. And then you can just close that back up, and it's nice storage for the weapons there that are better than just like pegging it onto the back, in my opinion. But yeah, no, that works great. And then he does come with 3 missiles here for his handheld gun. Obviously, you only really need one of them. They don't have a dedicated place to actually store in this mode, but what I've found is that you can actually kind of take it and just kind of like wedge it in here so that this little piece kind of goes into the hinge of the arm. And you're not really stressing anything out by doing that. It stays just fine, and it's pretty unobtrusive. Like, it's definitely not, super cleanly sitting on there, but, it stays and it looks okay. It's pretty, and if you wanted to be symmetrical, you could do that on both sides, but he only needs one missile. The other 2 are really just kind of extras in case you lose one, which is even sillier in this because he doesn't even have like the spring-loaded function anymore for his gun. So it's like, okay, it's nice to have, the 2 extra missiles that were just on the sprue, so they included the whole sprue, but yeah, you don't really need the other 2. And then there's obviously, my big complaint with all of the G1 cassette bots is their extra weapons don't have anywhere to go anywhere in any way on Soundwave or on Ravage or Laserbeak. So, whatever. It's a G1 toy. You can forgive it for that. But definitely, you know, would not fly if they were doing it today. Although they did kind of do that for Studio Series Rumble, so I hope if they make new Studio Series versions of these guys that they actually have them like transform into them, which they've done fairly successfully, at least with Laserbeak a couple times. So, but hey, that's kind of neither here nor there for this figure. But yeah, Laserbeak does have some nice stickers on the wings there. I believe just on this side. Yeah, I don't know. I guess this is supposed to be the cassette side, so you're supposed to put them in like that. Maybe that was where I was having issues with. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it was like that I was having issues. Yeah, that's the... okay, fine. All right. It works from every direction now. But yeah, no, I think that they look good. The funny thing about Ravage is like he doesn't... because these are really going for more cartoon accuracy. And in the cartoon, obviously, Ravage was black all the way around. He does kind of just have like a blank side here with no sculpting, because on the original Ravage mold, there was like stickers covering it to make it look more like an actual cassette, and he doesn't really have those. But there's also no sculpted detail on this side, so it just looks a little bit plain on this half of him, whereas this side looks a little bit better, even though, you know, in cassette mode that was notionally supposed to be the back in the original one, because the original one had nice stickers on the front there. But yeah, I haven't noticed any stickers on Soundwave. Like obviously the Decepticon logo is actually tampoed on there. I'm pretty sure the only stickers on the set are the ones on Laserbeak's wings. Yeah, no, that's just straight up on the metal pin for Ravage. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just these two stickers, which were pre-applied. I didn't have to apply those, but yeah. Is this maybe a sticker? This could be a sticker. Yeah, it kind of feels like one. All right, so there's a few more stickers on Laserbeak, but yeah, whatever. But yeah, in terms of comparisons in this mode, just for starting off with Laserbeak and Ravage, here's Laserbeak with the Netflix Earthrise Laserbeak. Obviously, a bit more complete in cassette mode, a bit thicker. You know the difference between these. And then for Ravage, here he is with the Earthrise Netflix Ravage, and here he is with the other G1 reissue Ravage that I have, the one that came with the like, you know, Beast Wars Ravage in that box set. But yeah, no, they look good together. One thing I was kind of worried about when, you know, I originally ordered this set is I thought just by the way that it looks that they had replaced all of the die-cast parts with plastic, and that is not true. Like if you look at Ravage's legs here, they actually are metal, just painted, and same thing with Soundwave's feet. They are metal and just painted, and he still has all the metal joints. So I was kind of worried that I was like getting a G1 Soundwave, but it was like, you know, not going to have the same hand feel as the original one, and that does not seem to be the case, so that's nice. And then in terms of other comparisons for Soundwave, here he is with the Netflix Soundwave. You can see it's like, yeah, it's a good mode, but this one is just, I think, a lot cleaner in terms of just being like a more standard box, and then it doesn't have all the like junk on the back that, you know, even with this missile kind of crammed in there like it wasn't designed to be, it's still cleaner than the you know, Netflix Soundwave mold. I would also really like to get a new use of this mold that's like done more in like the standard cartoony blue colors, because like this darker blue is just like, I mean, it definitely, this figure has had a bit of like, you know, color change over time, unfortunately, but this one's like, it can't totally decide what it wants to be, because it's like, it's got the yellow door windows, but then the gold stripes, and it has these blue lines. It would just be nice if it was a bit more uniform, like the cartoon colors, but whatever, that's neither here nor there for that. And then for a couple other G1 Soundwaves, here he is with the I forget if that's music label or device label. I think it was music label Soundwave, the one that turns into the, you know, notionally working MP3 player. And here he is with Core Class Kingdom Soundwave, and then why not? Here's Laserbeak with the mini one that came with him, just so you can see what he looks like with a few other modern G1 Soundwaves. Oh, and the little one that came in the weaponizer pack. Why not? And why not? Here he is with I almost said G1 Kingdom Soundwave, G1 Bumblebee, just for a few other kind of standard comparisons, since these two actually were both from the micro change line originally. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is for cassette mode. I guess one other thing to mention that I find a little bit annoying is that the head doesn't really like stay down fully. It kind of like has this like bit of springiness up. It's really not a big deal, but it does annoy me slightly. I don't know what it is about the hinge that it just doesn't want to just stay flush into place. It always wants to spring up like that, but whatever. But yeah, to get onto transformation, if you want to, you can just leave the weapons inside the battery compartment. That stays, you know, just where it needs to be, and then we can take them out for robot mode. But yeah, first thing you want to do is just take the edges here, just fold them down like that, and then fold them all the way down. They kind of like widen, they kind of like leverage themselves out at the hips like that. So they're actually extending down a little bit on those die cast pieces as well. And then just rotate them forward, flip out the feet. They have a very nice, satisfying click into place there. The arms just fold out to the side like that. You can extend down the hands. Now they do extend down all the way like this, but I feel like if you just leave them like one click up where you're hiding this gap and the hands are a little bit more proportional, I feel like that looks a little bit better, but you know, to each their own. And then we just flip out the head here and rotate around. And obviously we're gonna have to adjust the camera here a bit. And then obviously we can take off the battery compartment here and give him his weapons. If you want to just store the handgun in there, it can just stay in there. And then what's kind of nice is like with Soundwave, I always take out the shoulder launcher and put it on his shoulder. But obviously, you know, in this mode, you don't have anywhere else to kind of put the missile because it can't stay wedged in where it was. But if you always have that out, if you want to just store the handgun in here, you definitely can also fit the missile in here because there are little kind of gaps up in there. So it is, you know, there's a long enough area for you to actually store that and have it there, which is nice because it means that, like, you know, you don't have to have a part sitting off to the side in either mode when you're not using that weapon. But if you want to use that weapon, obviously it just, you know, you take the little gun here and just extend it out, and then the missile just plugs in, and it does kind of like spring lock into there, but the little button to like actually launch it just kind of releases it so you can pull it off. It doesn't actually shoot anymore. There's no spring loaded. I'm pretty sure in the original sound that surely that must have been spring loaded, right? But yeah, no longer. Another thing that I find kind of annoying about the gun is just because of the way like the spring loaded mechanism works is that it has kind of a hard time staying like upright the way you'd want it to be. It seems like there's always just like a little like lip there where it doesn't want to quite stay up. It kind of always wants to like go to one direction. Like you can definitely get it to stay, but it's not like its natural resting spot, which is a little bit annoying. But yeah, then we can obviously have him hold it in his hand there, and that's a pretty good look, as it always has been. Then we'll just kind of shift him back here so we can focus on Laserbeak and Ravage. For Laserbeak, you just want to take these panels right here and just fold them down to be the feet. And then you can kind of extend out the wings here on this sort of double hinge. And then for the head, you kind of just slide it forward on this slider, and then it'll extend up like that. And then obviously we can take his little jetpack booster things and just plug them in there. Obviously, unfortunately, you know, that you're having to use extra parts there, but that's just how the G1 cassettes were. We'll put them over to the side like that. And then with Ravage, he's that very, you know, sort of like flat version of himself where you take the tail, rotate it back like that, rotate out the head, rotate out the back legs. So they kind of just extend down like this. And same with the front legs. And then we can take his little missile accessories and just put them onto his hips. And there we have them in their robot modes as well. And yeah, it's a fairly good looking package. I think that all three of these guys look really, really nice in the cartoon colors. Obviously, we also still have the 2 extra missiles, which don't really have a place to go, but you also don't really need to display them with him, so you might as well just put those in a bin anyway, because you only need the 1 missile to like get the full effect there. But yeah, in terms of a G1 toy, he's actually got fairly decent articulation. The head can rotate around like that, can also can't really look down because, you know, it has to be flipped back. It has to be like turned around to actually flip back. The shoulder cannon can kind of rotate back and forth just because it's on just a standard peg. The shoulders here can rotate around like that. Also, just for transformation, they also have a bit of a backwards butterfly joint, which is kind of cool. The elbows do sort of have a few clicks, like that's a click, that's a click, and that's a click. But because they're so far apart, you can definitely get them to sit in between those resting spots as well. So, you know, they're pretty much just 90 degrees of bend at the elbow there, which, you know, obviously the elbows are a little bit high, but whatever. Nothing at the wrist, nothing at the waist. The hips can go forward like that, and they can also rotate for transformation. So, you know, you can get him just straight up sitting down like that on his butt, or you can get him with like a slight, you can kind of use this like a bit of a thigh swivel. I find that one of the legs always kind of wants to spring back into place, whereas this one I can usually get to sit out at least a little bit without doing that. So I don't know, your mileage may vary. No knees aside from the forward bending knees, so that's not really helpful. And then the feet can kind of tilt in a little bit, but again, without, you know, a backwards hip joint or any knee joint, that's not really useful for anything. So, you know, better articulation, especially in the arms for a lot of G1 toys, but pretty much just a brick, all things considered. And then for Laserbeak here, he's got a couple joints at the head there, so he can kind of bob up and down like that. And then also the hinge, the wings are on double hinges, so you can kind of rotate them around as well. The feet can't really do anything in this mode because they're kind of blocked by the you know, where the jetpack thrusters are, but I don't really know what you'd want them to do anyway, so that's fine. And then Ravage does have separate joints for his front and back legs, so you can get those separate, although obviously he's very like skinny from the front. But I usually find it's nice to kind of, you know, vary his look a little bit by just like adjusting the orientation of the legs so he sits a bit more like that, so he doesn't look quite like a relief sculpture as much. So you know, nothing too crazy there. Obviously, the head can still tilt up and down, so can the tail. But you know, you know what you're pretty much getting with the cassette guys. But yeah, in terms of comparisons in this mode for Laserbeak, here he is again with the Netflix Laserbeak. Here, Ravage is again with the Netflix Ravage and the other G1 reissue Ravage. You can see some of the difference here between like the toy colors and the cartoon colors. You know, they actually painted the legs, so they're a bit more like, they're still a little bit glossy, but they're a little bit more of like a matte finish rather than just like the straight up, you know, standard metal of this one. And then likewise, they gave him like silver painted weapons rather than the chrome painted weapons. He doesn't have any of the like cassette-y details, and his eyes are red instead of silver. Ultimately, I do think I prefer the look of the cartoon colors one, but you know, they're both fine. And then here, Soundwave is, if I can get Ravage to stand up again, here he is with Netflix Soundwave, music label Soundwave, and Kingdom Soundwave, and then we can toss that back in there just because it's there, just so you can see what he looks like with a few other kind of G1 Soundwave figures. And yeah, looks pretty good. You know, the thing that I've always the like aesthetics of G1 Soundwave that I've always never been crazy about are like the shape of the head, which is very, you know, kind of a departure from the cartoon model, or I should more accurately say the cartoon model is a departure from the G1 head. I much prefer the kind of cartoon looking head like the one from the you know, the Netflix toy. But obviously if you're getting a G1 figure, you kind of want it to, you know, be as accurate to the original one as possible. But yeah, another thing that's kind of annoying is I wish that the peg for the gun was a little bit longer, because he does have kind of a hard time holding it, even if the hand is extended all the way out. It's just like, it does not take a lot for it to kind of get bumped out of his hand, but whatever. It's not the end of the world, just kind of worth mentioning there. And then for some other comparisons, here he is again with Kingdom Sideswipe and G1 Bumblebee, so you can see what they all look like with them, just for some standard guys there. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to say about him. You know, a pretty good figure. I love seeing the G1 Soundwave mold in these colors. I think it looks really good. The price I'm not super crazy about. It was like $45 for these guys. I've always kind of had my issues with the way that the reissues are priced. Like, I get it, because it's like, okay, he's including the extra guys, he's got the die-cast parts or whatever, but just comparing it to, like, you know, the other figures that are around this size class is like, really? Okay, I don't know about that. He costs that much more than a Voyager, I guess, because of the metal parts alone, but usually I'm just kind of not wanting to like shell out for G1 reissues. But G1 Soundwave, I love these colors, and it's always a figure that I've wanted to have, and it's nice to have an opportunity to actually get it with all the parts included, because he does kind of have like a lot of stuff, and it's nice to get Laserbeak and Ravage as well. But yeah, you know, and you know, at least like as a G1 figures go, he does have a little bit more like versatility and posability compared to, you know, a few other figures, so that's nice as well. But yeah, no, he's a really nice figure, and I'm glad to finally have a version of G1 Soundwave, and in these colors, no less, is a pretty good deal. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to him. If you enjoy my videos, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. I do reviews every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Make sure to check me out on my Instagram account. That's toys.n.art. And without further ado, here we have the 40th anniversary retro reissue Soundwave, Laserbeak, and Ravage.